to match
Woohoo!
it. I love it
I
when
know.
I
I
do
was
it
like, when
right.
am I gonna pop in?
Yep, here you are. All right, so we're just gonna, I always say this in the beginning for anybody that's new. We can't see you, we can't hear you, we don't know you're here unless you make a comment. Hi, Nick. So, or you already
Oh
have a
God,
friend?
my friend Nick. Yes.
Yep. So please say hello if you want to. Please let us know that you're here. You can certainly communicate with each other in the comments. We can't communicate in the comments, so I'll do my best to stay ahead of them. Famia, you can see the comments, obviously. Yes.
Yes, I
Yep.
see Nick, my buddy, my friend. I love and adore him. I see Rachel and I see Nadine.
Yay! Yay! Thank you, Nadine, for the compliment. That Chris Hennessy has helped me. I know some of you, because we know each other on LinkedIn. Chris Hennessy was a huge help for me getting going with this, helping me with my intros and outros and overlays, and I'm so impressed that I know all these terms.
You're doing a
Who
phenomenal, better
knew?
than I would.
And hey, Rachel. Rachel is probably the most loyal person. So thank you, Rachel, for hopping in. She says, story time. Yes, story time. So Famia is a guest. We've met on LinkedIn. And again, I've met the most phenomenal humans on LinkedIn. So I'm going to turn it over, introduce yourself. What do you do? What do you want to share? And then we'll start sharing stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first I want to start off by Tanya by, just thanking you for having me be on your awesome show. I have literally been counting down the
Me too.
days until I can come on your live and just be goofy and just be myself and just speak my story. It's one thing for me to share it on LinkedIn and you guys see pictures and you see my content, but to actually seeing me live to share a little bit of my backstory is pretty amazing. So I'm really humbled. So thank you
You're
for
very
having
welcome.
me, Tanya.
I'm honored that you're on. I'm so honored when, guests agree to come on. And I am so adamant on how important our stories are, either for ourselves to look back and say, wow, I survived that, or wow, that was really fun. I want to do it again. I don't mean all of our stories have to be, tragic, but we all have quote shit. Sorry, pardon me. If there's kids in the background, warning on language.
I don't have any here next to me.
Okay. Right. And it leaves a legacy and it lets people know that they're not alone. And yes, I've been through something like that. Or thank you for sharing. Because if you can go through that, I can go through what I need to go through. So stories are just so important.
They are, and I had made a post about that this morning because those that have gotten to know me, Tanya, know that when I post, I speak the truth to my story every time I do post. And if I'm not feeling it, I can't post. One of my top strengths is a connectedness. And that's how, for me, is when I get really down in the nitty gritty of the deep conversations, that's where I find it most fulfilling is when I can relate to people and they can relate to me. So I have been an educator for over 10 years. So I have met hundreds of learners over the years. And when they come back to me 10 years later and they've graduated high school and they enter college and they still remember me till this day, I've bumped into them at the stores, the restaurants. They're like, Miss Hamden, do you remember me? And for a second, I got to pause. I'm like, oh God, I've had over 600 learners over the years. I'm like, honey, you got to please just remind me of your name. But the fact that they still remember me and they tell me like, you really, trusted me and gave me a platform to speak to who I was and to where I am now. And you believed in me, like to me, that almost makes a person want to cry, but like, oh my God, I had such an impact on these learners. So I've worked with learners for so many years, from the littlest ones, preschool to high school. And then I've also taught adult learners that were all based out in Italy. So my community, my audience has been such a vast range of people. And I'm just really blessed to have had that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I talked to I have two adult daughters, 24, almost 25, and a 26, almost 27-year-old. And, we still talk about how certain teachers have impacted their lives, either coaches, teachers, piano teacher, whatever it was, some impacted them in a real positive way. Like I just remember some of the teachers that they would come home and I think they weren't going to come home with me. They were going home with their teacher kind of
Yes.
thing. Right. And then obviously there were teachers that impacted them in a very negative way too. And I was
Yeah.
glad that, either I got them into a different classroom or knowing that, this was going to only last a few more months. And, so it can happen either way. So we need teachers that impact our kids in a positive way.
Yeah.
So I know that give us a little bit of your background story. Give us a few chapters of how you were a teacher and helping, and then where you are today. And I'm really curious about your LinkedIn profile sentence about being a unicorn connector and all the
Oh yeah, there's a
connections.
story
So
to
I got
that.
2 questions. I just threw out 2. Go for it.
No, I love
And
that.
real
So
quick. And hey, Susanna.
hi, Susanna. So yeah, again, going back, I was an educator for so many years, and how I fell into it is I know this is going to sound cheesy, but I always knew that my purpose on this earth and this life was honestly to educate people and to really build relationships. Like that's where I feel most fulfilled, is when I can really drive the connection. I've always wanted to be that bridge between people that brought people together, whether I was in the classroom with the learners, with adults, wherever I was. I always felt the need to do that. And I did it for a really long time. Um, but it just got to a point within the last 5 years of when I did end up leaving. The whole political system took over. I could no longer be my authentic self. There was
Yeah.
no outlet for creativity. And I remember, Tanya, every day that I would wake up for those last 5 years was a day that I dreaded every single time. If it wasn't for my learners, I don't know if I would have stayed any longer. I mean, I don't know. That's a question. But I knew that at the end of those 5 years, I was doing a disservice to them.
Right.
And a disservice to myself, because I remember that I would cry every day that I would keep going into work. And I actually remember crying while I was at work, because I'm like, wait, there's nobody to talk to, because everybody was in this mindset of go, 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 fake it till you make it. I tried to talk to people, especially admin, but they would always kind of brush it off and be like, it's okay, you're here for the learners. Suck it up, pretty much.
Yeah.
Do it. And you would be giving up on the learners if you decided to take care of your mental health. And again, I know this sounds crazy, but when you're in this environment and that's all that you don't know what else is out there. That's all you're accustomed to. And that's why a lot of educators really, truly, hi, Bruce, struggle with actually leaving, because they don't know. They don't know where to go. And then I was telling everyone a little bit to Tanya before this, is my wake up call, when I finally decided enough's enough, is when I actually approached my admin and I said, I want to do more. I want to grow. I know that I'm more capable of what I'm doing. Not to say that education is not great, it is, but I always knew my path was going to lead me somewhere else, and I didn't want to stop. And I was told that I couldn't do anything else but stay in the classroom. And you guys can imagine what that does to a person when you're told by someone that's all you can do. You're like, and that's not happening. And it struck a big chord, Tanya. It really did. And I had a hard time being there and not being able to fulfill what I truly meant to do. And then a few years later, my brother-in-law, my aunt, passed away days apart from cancer. And I'm just like, okay, you're going through this. You're no longer passionate about what you're doing in the classroom. You just lost 2 loved ones instantly like that. What are you going to do? Life is short. Either you stay somewhere where you're no longer happy, or you decide to get up and do something about it. Which is it? And it took me an addition of 2 years, because again, imposter syndrome took over. I was so fearful of the unknown, because again, I've been teaching ever since I was 18. So that was over 10, 15 years of my life that I dedicated to my learners, and it became my identity. And I finally decided, and I remember it was 10:30 on September 7th, 2017, that I said, I'm done. And I made sure everything was taken care of. But if I tell everybody what happened to me after that, you just feel like, what happened? Everybody turned on me.
Yeah.
A community that I had built for over 10 years, the people that I really entrusted were not by my side. It literally was just like crickets, maybe a handful. I
Yeah.
can say were next to me, but everybody else took off and left. And I'm just like, wow, it's like one person to this entire group that I had to fend for myself. And
Yeah.
a lot happened behind the scenes. So it was really hard. And it took me 2
Sure.
years
Yeah. Well,
to
we
finally
get
figure myself
comfortable in
out.
those comfortable zones too, even though it's not, might not be healthy. It's what you know. And Bruce said the same thing. Bruce made a
Yeah.
comment, right? Glad you escaped. Yep. Took me 2 years to quit too. And this is why I love sharing our stories, because I was a corporate coach for about 7 years at one company. Loved it till like the last 3 years. And the last 2 years, I knew this was not, again, I loved my clients. I loved, I'd wake up every morning and have to look and see who I was coaching. But I still woke up many mornings going, how can I call off sick today? I am not happy here. And it was the behind the scenes corporate stuff, not my clients. So I knew I wanted to be a coach. It's just not in this location.
Yeah. And it's tough because when you know that you're in a position where this is what you want to do and you really want to make a difference, but when you're not supported or you're not acknowledged for feeling the way you're feeling and you're totally dismissed, it really does. It's like somebody's just stabbing you in the heart. It's like, my gosh, I'm like, where is my community? Where is the
Yeah.
support that I need to keep going? And I did end up going to therapy because I'm like, gosh, I know that what I'm feeling is right.
Yep.
I
Yep.
just need to be with somebody that's going to allow me to share my feelings, feel my feelings,
Yes. We talked about
without,
that too. We have to feel our
yes,
feelings.
without being judged and being labeled. I was told that I was crazy for taking care of my mental health. I even told Tanya that somebody did come to my house and question my decision that they thought I had planned to leave for my mental health, my well-being. And I'm just like, yeah. I was just,
Yeah.
this wasn't health. It was very toxic, and I knew I needed to get out. And the 2 years that it took me, I tell you guys, it was hard as hell. I had no
Yes.
idea who I was anymore. I was like,
Yeah.
who's Tamia? I'd look in the mirror and I didn't recognize this. I'm like, who is she? She's not happy. She's not outgoing. Like, you guys would not have recognized me years back because I
Yeah.
just wasn't me anymore. I lost it. Trying to be something I wasn't to fit in to
Yeah.
that crowd.
Yep. It took me when so I gave notice February 14th, 2022.
Hmm.
So March 1st, I'm solopreneur. And so it hasn't even been a year yet. Best thing I ever did. But it took me like 3 or 4 months to get my mojo back. I didn't
Mhm.
feel like Tanya Bugby for about 3 months. And I want to say hello to Anne. I want to say hello to Phil. And Phil, no, I know. I wonder what company. Not going to say it out loud. I know you want me to, but I'm not.
Maybe on the side.
Yeah, maybe on the side bar meeting. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I like this. For me, I love conversations. Anna
Yeah.
is a very dear friend of mine. I call her my butterfly twin. So she
Oh,
knows that
nice.
I am so into the conversation. That's where I build my
Yeah.
relationships. And Tanya, speaking of like those mojo months that you had taken to figure it out,
Yeah.
it takes a lot. Like when people tell you to get over it or
Yep.
you're fine, you can't
Oh,
you
yeah. Or
can't just
people would
wake
say,
up
Tanya,
and be
if you
fine.
quit, they win. I'm like, what are they winning? But I would. I have people say,
Yeah.
Tanya, if you quit, they win. And I'm like, yeah, no,
And
I
that's what
won.
happened to me. I was gaslit. I was
Yep.
manipulated for many years into thinking that my emotions were not valid. I was told that I'm a quitter. I was told that if I go and take a break, that I was giving up. And not one time do I recall anyone had ever said, "Are you okay? How are you really feeling?"
Yeah.
Nothing. And
Yeah.
that to me upset me, and they replaced me so fast within a week, Tanya, and I had been there over 10 years.
Wow.
10 years. And I
Wow.
was like quickly replaced. And I told myself in that moment, I will never sell myself to a company that doesn't appreciate me because
Yeah.
I want to live my life and I want to live it to the fullest, but I want to be in a space where I'm actually where I belong and I'm not trying to fit in. If you
Yeah.
can't appreciate me or anyone else, then it's not a space
Yeah,
that's healthy.
and I know it's corny, but life is too short, and I'm at an age where when I very recently turned 60, it was like there's a metaphorical line at my front door, and if it doesn't bring me joy, it's not coming in. I get
Hmm.
stronger with age,
Hmm.
and I've got my grandparents have passed. My father passed in during COVID, so 2021, I want to say he passed. So I'm seeing people as I get older, right? There's more people passing away, and it is too short. I know it's corny, but I don't know how I became 60. It's like it took me
You
a
not
long
even
time to
look
say it.
60. I
Thank
was like,
you,
what?
but I don't know how that happened.
You look great.
Thank you, but I don't know how it happened.
I think as we age, we just become more wiser and we just
Yeah,
don't give whatever you want to call it because we have
yeah,
gone through the crappy pieces of life. We've gone through the ups and downs. We have failed, we have fallen, we have lost, and we just get to a point where like enough's enough. I really need to live to my truth and to my voice. And
yeah,
if people cannot accept me or you or anyone else in this room as we are, then why would we want them, Tanya, in our group? And when I
right.
had left and damn it, and I'm like, damn, they left me. They like literally, I was like, I need to cut the cord. I'm like, I
Yeah,
had to cut off 90% of the people that I thought had my back. Um,
yeah.
it was hurtful.
That's
I mean,
hard being betrayed like that.
oh,
That's
it was
devastating.
extremely, yeah. And it took
Yeah,
me years to recover,
yeah,
for and finally talk about it because I'm like, damn, like, because I was embarrassed, I was ashamed. But now I can speak to it because again, not too long ago, I'm like, this is why I'm so passionate about community and what it stands
yeah.
for, and not to use the term community lightly.
Right.
It's so deep. It has a deep meaning to it. And I always talk to Anna, who's here, about what that means to me because I've lived the ugly side of it. I know what it feels like when nobody sees you
Yeah,
or
yeah.
acknowledges you.
So I'm going to flip the switch for just a second. So talk to
Hmm.
me or share with us your LinkedIn, your whatever that little paragraph is called.
Oh, the headline.
Headline. Thank you. Yeah.
So the unicorn connector. So, okay, funny backstory. So I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the Gallup Strengths Finder.
Yep.
With my previous jobs, I'm like, gosh, why did I leave Quicken Loans? I'm like, ugh, it just wasn't anything I was passionate about. So when I finally took this assessment test, and I don't live by them, but I was curious. I'm very much a curious person. One of my top strengths was connectedness. I was like, oh my gosh.
Mm,
And then a few, and I was like, huh, there's got to be a reason for that. And when I kept backtracking, and I'm very much a deep thinker and I do a lot of self reflecting, I'm like, I didn't stay in teaching anymore because I was no longer given the opportunity to connect with my learners.
right.
I mean, it became to the point where they were just a student, a body, and then they left the school year. There was no more connection because I didn't have the bandwidth nor the energy to do it anymore because of the political reasons behind it of why teachers could no longer connect because it was just like test, 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 test. You
Right.
were
Yep.
not given that. And again, with other jobs, I'm like, the jobs that I had never played to the strengths that I had. And I was like, when I started doing the jobs and opportunities I was doing, career crafters and other side projects, I was like, wow, I'm really feeling fulfilled. And I'm like, why is that? And when I sat back and I wrote down in a journal, it was like building relationships. That's where
Right.
I thrive.
And
And
you're honoring your values, right? So you
mhm,
value connection, you value relationships, and you weren't living in alignment with your values as a teacher,
mhm,
unfortunately, and now you're living in alignment now. So
mhm.
what brings you the most joy now?
And it's a relationship building. It's the
Yep.
community piece. It's where it drives me day in and day out. And I know I sound like I'm a robot talking about community, but it's such, Tanya, a big deal, especially after COVID. The need for human connection is real.
Oh
And
yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, please don't use the word community so loosely. It has such a deep, deep, deep meaning to it. These are real people with real feelings that really
Yep.
do want to be connected. And please don't connect to get the influencer likes. That's not going to work because people
No.
see
Well, it's not
past
real.
that.
It's not authentic,
It's
right?
not authentic. It's not
Not
real. If
authentic.
you're using community for just likes, please don't tie the word hashtag community to it because to me, when I apply it to my post, and I know people apply it the right way, and you could see through a post,
Right.
please use it knowing that it takes real, genuine intent behind it, because people are actually coming to you to relate, to connect with their backstories, because we all
Yes.
go through crap, you know? So that's why, to me, I'm passionate. I'm just very much a big advocate for, speaking up and using your voice, and um, not being afraid to talk about who you are, because
Yeah.
life is short. Be you. if
Yes.
I could,
Yes.
if I could scream it right now without my family running through the door.
Yes.
What's
So
happening?
one of your big fans, Bruce, right? I've had so
Love
many
Bruce.
great outcomes from our live stream earlier this week. So, and if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate
Yes.
to ask either of us, right? If you have any questions, we're watching the comments. And you have such raving fans. You are so fortunate.
I'm blessed. Every time
Yeah.
I honestly, sometimes I'm like, okay, don't tear up.
Oh,
These lives.
Me
When your
too.
friends show
I've actually
up.
have clients on right now. Mary Ann said hello. Phil said hello. Rachel used to be a client. So and somebody I admire a lot on LinkedIn, Susanna, is on. You are all so wonderful. And for me and I, because we're all about connection, because my top one is connection, right?
Is
We're
it?
all about connecting and building relationships. And I'm such a team player.
So am I. And
Yeah.
and here's the thing, when you build community, a lot of side conversations that I've had were with individuals were like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't have a secret formula. I'm like, I'm just being me. And they're like, well, I don't know how to be me. I'm like, well, you just gotta sit back and journal out, like, what are the things that are true to you, align with you. I'm like, please don't look at what everybody else is doing, because that's their story.
Yeah.
You have your own story. Speak
Yeah.
to yourself, and it's not easy. You have to get really crystal clear on what it is you want to speak to. And for me, it just, community is such a big piece, because I will never get sick of it. I will always advocate for it, and
Right.
with it.
And I love what you say about being picky about who you let into your community, because it can really hurt. Like when you were betrayed by so many people, or when I've let people into my community and then, they start judging me because I don't wear makeup or whatever. I mean, that's pretty simple. I mean, it's not as, as severe as like what you went through, but still being picky about who you let in and knowing who you are and being solid with who you are, and then being picky with who you let in, and then it's beautiful.
Yeah, especially when somebody, like, I always tell people, when people come over your house, what's the first thing you do? You open the door, you welcome them. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
But when that happens in person, when you're in a space where people don't even acknowledge you by your name
Right.
and totally dismiss you, that's so hurtful.
Yeah.
When you talk about community, you want to make sure that you really come in knowing that you really have to welcome people, because sometimes that first impression is the very last impression they're going to have of you.
Right.
And
Yep.
actions speak louder than words. If you're going to say you're going to do something, do it.
Yep. Yep. So important. Yep. And Rachel says it truly is. It is.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to jump in here because we're getting
Mhm.
close to the end, and I always ask 2 questions. I know. And so we're going to
That's
need to
so
do a part 2.
fast.
I'm sorry. We're just getting warmed up. So we're going to need to do part 2
Yes.
for sure. Is the first question is, we're talking about different chapters in our lives. Like, with me being a corporate coach, being a teacher in the past, and now we're here today doing, different things. What's a sneak peek into the next chapter? What do you really want that, if it's something this year or 5 years from now, but what's the next chapter? Because there's accountability in here and the universe listening.
I know. And you know what? My good friend, Tamika, would always tell me, manifest, speak it to the universe, and just say what it is that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much truth. I know people are like, I don't know about, but no, but it's happened for me, where I would just speak like, this is what I want. This is what I need. And I'm telling you guys, that's how I landed the job that I'm in now with Belongly, because I was like, I am not giving up. Took me one whole year of hell.
Yeah.
So many ups and downs, to the point where I'm just like, okay, maybe I need to stop. I knew I wasn't going to quit, but there were moments where I just had to stop and breathe and question myself a lot. So my next chapter is to continue being a sounding board, a sounding platform for empowering people to really own their voice in their communities and owning their stories and
Yes.
not trying to fit the mold, the checklist of what this person may need. I'm sort of like a rebel, but in a good way. I stand against the norm. I'm the one where I keep pushing a little inch by inch. I'm persistent, but in a good way. And I know it's because there's so much good that can happen in the world if we can all just stand by and even though it may not be comfortable but to do what's right.
Yeah. To
In
do what's
regard
right. Yeah.
to do what's right. And that's what I want to do is just to keep pushing community and hopefully be on more lives, which is what's happening this month, which is wildly
Yes.
crazy as I look at my calendar, like, what did I do? But I'm like, it's all, and I'm blessed. And then, yeah, and there's something that's happening next month that maybe a few people know, but it was honestly, truly with building a community and building the connection that the opportunities are there, but you have to work for them. You can't. I used to be a dreamer. I still am, but I never did anything about them, Tanya. I would just dream, 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 but I never put an action into place. And this time, when I threw myself out there, scared as ever, I did it. And an opportunity just kind of, not work wise, but who knows, just kind of fell into my lap. And I was just like, really? Me? Okay. And of course, maybe the person that I am, I'm like, yes,
The universe loves you.
I
I don't know
knew
if it fell on your lap, right? It's
It's
just like,
just so
I don't know if I
weird, but it's
believe in
good
coincidences.
weird.
Yeah.
It's just, it happened and I'm excited. So I'm just digesting it and processing it. The fact that it just happened the way it did, but I truly, truly believe in the manifestation of actions. And I tell people, I'm like, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in
Yeah.
a week. It's not going to happen. Just keep at it and just don't give up on yourself because
Yeah.
there's just so many beautiful things that can happen if you believe in yourself, of course.
Yeah, and it's okay to be uncomfortable. You'll learn to. It's actually exciting now for me when I'm getting uncomfortable because, like, okay, this is good, right? Versus, oh, I've got to go back into my cave in my safe space. And I just love what Susanna's all about out of the box, right? And I love what Bruce said because I even say this sometimes. I need to say it more often because I believe in this. What if there was no box? You know, yeah. So that's your. I'm challenging Susanna. Susanna, I got a challenge for you. Right? Not just get out of the box and be different. There's no box. Yeah.
I don't believe in a checklist. I was always the one
Yeah.
like, I don't conform to a checklist. I don't do well with it because I've been micromanaged for so many years to be this perfect employee person, personally and professionally. I'm like, I'm done doing that. I don't want to conform to any of that, but rather just be me.
Yeah. Yep. Be you. Well, you're amazing. Obviously.
Oh, I can't stop
And I think
smiling at
everybody
everybody
here
that's
is
here.
amazing, right? We're all amazing.
They're
I think,
amazing
you
people.
know, takes one to know one. How's that? I used to say that when I was in elementary school, but I love it. It takes one to know one.
Oh, I still say it to this day. I'm like, it takes one
Good.
to know one.
Okay, good. I don't feel so bad. Like, okay, I'm going to age myself now.
No,
My
not at all.
adult children say I age myself, Mom. Mom, when you say that, you age yourself. I'm like, oh, well.
Oh, I say it all the time. So you're good, Tanya.
Yeah. All right. So last question. And if everybody here wants to put it in the comments what they do,
Yeah.
you know, I love being positive. I am positive more than I am negative. Even being a coach, I'll have a bad day. Monday, I had a really off day. I just wasn't centered. And it happens, right? And so when that happens and you're noticing it happens, what do you do?
So for me, it actually happened last week, Tanya. It happened for several days. So for me, I had started off the week good, but then because I have gone through different burnout phases and kind of picked up things from my past therapist and just being really in tune with feeling my feelings, right? I kind of pick up on little triggers. So midweek on Tuesday, started to feel it a little bit. I'm like, ooh, something's a little off. I'm like, let me try Wednesday, and see if I can post up on LinkedIn. And just something threw me off. And I was like, okay, thank God I'm in a mental health space, right? That I work. And being in that space really holds me accountable. I just felt something was odd. And Thursday, I had my head down on the table. I'm like, I can't do this. I need to take a break. I have not been present with myself, been present with my family, I need to stop. So I decided to take those days off and just sat with myself, sat with my family, and I just needed to be in a quiet space. So that's what I do when I'm feeling down. I process my emotions first, and then I call on a really close friend. I did that with Anna. So that's why I'm just so blessed
Yeah.
to
Nice.
have these beautiful friends on LinkedIn that are off my friends off of LinkedIn and just kind of talking and venting, and the support is what I really need as a community to, just to be there and
Yep.
kind of reassure me that I'm going to be okay. And taking a walk, and outside, breath of fresh air, or just putting on some really great fun music sometimes is
Yes.
kind of gets me
Yeah.
back. Or
Yeah. Yeah. Music is awesome for me. Yeah, it's important that we recognize it, call a friend. So Monday I went for a walk with my daughter. We took both of our dogs to the dog park, and it was such a, I needed to get out, get in the fresh
hmm
air. So yes, so I encourage everybody. Yes, we're all going to have bad days, and then have a bad day
hmm
plan. Okay, I'm having a bad day plan. What do I do? Call a friend, go for a walk, go to, whatever that looks like, dance, music,
Oh my God, and laugh. I
laugh.
love
Yes.
humor is a must for me. I'm like, either if I'm not watching like some kind of comedy show, I will text a friend who's just a goofball and we'll just kind of crack jokes. So that kind of
Yeah.
lightens up the mood for me.
Yeah.
So that's helped me, and that's why I'm
Yes.
I'm back at it this week. So
I don't know. We've
good.
done a lot of laughing, but that's okay. We'll do part two. We'll do jokes, part two.
Hey, where there's laughs, I will go. Where there's
Yes.
dancing,
Okay,
I
good.
will go. Where there's music, you if you can't find me in a room but there's music, you're gonna
We know
find
where
me
to
over there
look.
on the dance floor. Yeah, I'm like right there.
Okay, so we got a couple of people sharing their words, which I love.
Mm,
So we've got, it was Bruce was dare. Susanna,
mhm,
I know your word, but I'm glad you're sharing it again. Is fly, because I think we were talking about soaring or something on a live. So
mhm.
yes, fly. Famia, do you have a word? Do you
Yes,
do
my
that?
word, I
Do you
do.
have
So
one?
my word that I decided I'm gonna do more of is to be present, because the word be is like a
Mm.
vibrational word. It comes with energy. So that's the one I really want to be a bit more intentional about, work-wise and personal.
Yeah. And so Marianne and I have the same word.
Mm.
So breakthrough. So I'm not breakthrough with my health, breakthrough with my business. Marianne, breakthrough. We're celebrating a birthday. I know she's celebrating. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
the
it's her birthday
same,
today?
similar. No, but it's very soon. Uh, so if you want to put your birth date up there, Marianne, go for it. Um, yeah, I love having a word every year. I think the only year that I really got crushed was when the COVID hit. Yeah,
That was a tough time for a lot of people. I
yeah,
mean, I think for everybody
yeah,
in more ways than one. But yeah, like Bruce said, to be
yeah. To
jive
be,
hive,
yeah,
jive hive in a community.
yeah, and taking time to feel our feelings and not just running through them. Yeah,
Yeah. I used to
yeah,
dismiss my feelings, Tanya, a lot. I would be ashamed saying that I was upset because, for when people look to you as the strong person all the time, family, and they just view you, they're the strong person, you're so well put together, that puts a lot of pressure on somebody mentally, emotionally, and physically. And who do you cry to?
right.
No one. To
Yeah,
yourself at night is, so when I started to get more in tune with my feelings, I was able to release it. And that's a part of why I posted today, because somebody I was very close to said, Famia, you need to answer a question. When somebody says, how are you? Don't just say good. If you
right.
feel like crap, say it. If you're upset, say it. You
Yep,
need to really feel those feelings and be more expressive, and you need to
yep,
share your story. And it wasn't a demand, they came from a really genuine place, and I really owe that person
yeah,
that piece
yeah.
of really encouraging me.
Yeah, I love what you said about that. Yeah, when people say, "How are you?" First of all, sometimes I don't know if they're that's just like a, you know, pat
You're wondering,
question.
do they
How
really
are you?
mean
And they
it?
keep walking. They really don't want to know if they're keep walking. Like, hey, how
Yeah.
are you? And they keep walking. I don't take the time to say, hey, I'm having a bad day. But if someone stops and eye contact and hey, how are you doing today, Tanya? Then yeah, you know what? I'm having a rough day today. I'll be
Yeah.
fine. I don't like that word fine. I can't believe I just said it. I hardly ever say it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, authenticity is like my number 2. So I'm all about that. All right, we have, I'm sure, gone over. Yeah,
It's
a little
okay.
bit. I'm
I
good.
mean,
Yes.
I don't mind sitting here just talking to everybody, like, "Hey, guys." I'm kidding, I know.
Yeah.
But this
No,
is
this is fun. And transparency, my daughter picked up my mom from the airport today because I knew it was going to break into our live. And I figured, and then she landed early, and she's like, okay, well, I'm going to get there right about 4. So I said, Anya, my daughter, keep your grandmother occupied for a half an hour and then come. So I know they're going to be walking in anytime.
It's okay, we can meet the family. I'm sure nobody here
Oh,
I've
my
been
mother would love it. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, when I've been on chats with individuals, their kids would intercept the call, so
Yeah,
that it ended up being me
absolutely.
and their kids. I forgot about the actual person I was talking to. I would be
Yeah.
talking to the children, or their pets will come through and take over the screen.
Absolutely. That's what makes it real and fun. Yeah, I had a live with Tara, and her daughter got on, walked through, and it's good, right? It's who we are. Again, why
Yeah.
hide it?
Exactly. My niece intercepted one of my calls, and it was so funny because she knew what she was doing. She calls it playtime and will tell me, "Are you done with your homework?" as opposed to work. I'm
Yeah.
like, "No," and I'm like, "Honey, no, I'm not done." So purposefully, she'd duck her head down here, pop her head up here, take my wiggly pens, start throwing things at my head. I'm like, "Oh, well, whatever. It is what it is. Go
It
along
is
with
what
the
it
fun."
is. Yeah, it is. And that's one of the things, well, obviously, with some of the positives of COVID is getting us together on community on Zoom. I mean, the Zoom fatigue is real, but it
Mhm.
helped me get through being able to Zoom my family. I have a sister
Mhm.
that lives in Texas, and a lot of my family is in Northern California. I'm in Southern California. So we would get on about once a week, and, we pivoted. Um, so there were some positives. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody. This was
Mm.
fun. So thank you, thank you,
It's
thank
so
you.
much fun. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. You
And
made
once
my
this,
day instead of everybody here.
yeah, this was fun. And once this this gets recorded and goes through its thing, if you're on Facebook, you'll be able to go to Facebook and make comments, or same thing with LinkedIn. If you don't know that, if you're on LinkedIn, you can go back and make comments or connect with each other. So, Famia, how do people find you if they want to connect with you? Where do they, other than obviously LinkedIn, any place else or anything you want them to know?
Well, there's other two community spaces that I manage as a community person. So there's Career Crafter. So if you're somebody or know of someone who's looking to pivot or transition careers, feel free to join us there in Career Crafters. You'll find it on my LinkedIn page. And then Belongly, which I'm blessed to be, I get to help the helpers, where I get to support and connect mental health therapists together. So if you know anybody, a mental health therapist who is looking to be connected in a community, and really, promote their companies, obviously got to be licensed to join us, but you get to deal
Yep.
with me in a good way. But again, I'm also on LinkedIn. That's where I live quite a bit of time, but I'm trying to be good at balancing that. So yeah, those are the spots they can
Well,
find
it's
me.
amazing how LinkedIn has changed, right? So some people that haven't been
Hmm.
on for a long time are like, oh no, it's too stuffy, or it's just whatever. And it's not anymore. It
No.
it isn't. And I kind of I've had a love-hate relationship with it, because I'm new to LinkedIn since about April. So it's a
Hmm.
lot less of the hate and a lot more of the love. I mean, hate's a strong word, but it's been, kind of different, me figuring it all out. Yeah.
'Cause we disrupted it, but we disrupted it in a good way.
In a good way. I know.
'Cause I had it for years. I had an account for years,
Yeah.
and after having gone through those toxic work environments, I said, "No longer will I ever go back into a toxic work environment." Like, I
Yeah.
would refuse. I would scope out a community before I ever entered it, and I always
I
thought it
think
was
you
a
have
very
enough friends on
uptight.
here that would probably pull you out of it, or I don't know,
Oh,
tie
yeah,
you to
yeah, they'd be
your
like, "Mia,
chair.
leave." They would, and I have
Yeah.
friends who are in the mental health space now, they'll be like, "For Mia, you need to, pull back." But yeah, now it's a place now I feel like it's changing, and it's, where people now from different walks of life can just be themselves and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, not
Yeah.
care
Absolutely.
to pay attention to those
Yeah.
judgments or those labels.
Yeah. All right. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to turn the outro on, and hopefully I don't mess it up. And thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.